For any of you guys that are currently working a job and want to start a side business or side hustle and eventually have that overtake your full-time job, you're going to have to set it up properly. I know a lot of guys like to say that just because you work 8 hours at your job doesn't mean you shouldn't have any energy or any effort to put towards your side hustle or your business right after work. And while I understand that, bro, you have to understand, you just put in 8 hours of work. You are freaking tired. It's going to be very difficult for you to produce the best quality of work right after an 8 hour shift. I don't care what occupation you're in, what line of work you're doing. After 8 hours of work, you have to be tired. That's just how it is. Unless maybe you're just sitting at a desk all day and just kind of doing nothing, and it's one of those jobs where you're just paid to be there. But then you could kind of just work on the job in most cases. But most people are generally busy for 8 hours and their mind is being forced to work on something else. And if you're in this situation, the best thing you could do for yourself is to align your schedule and try to stack up as many hours as you can for work on fewer days, and then use the days that you have open to work on your business and to work on whatever side hustle you're pursuing. See, I learned this from one of my ex-managers. He told me why he loved his job so much. So he was working as an area manager, and the thing about his job is they only required him to work 4 days a week, but his shifts were 12 hours. So he would get in at like 6 or 7 and then leave 6 or 7 at night. And while this sucked for 4 days of just 12-hour shifts, the other 3 days that he had open, the 3 days he had off, he put towards starting his business and he put towards growing it and working on managing it and finding employees and all that. And the beauty behind this is you can wake up on those off days and work fresh and solely have complete focus towards your business. This is so much better than coming home, let's say at 8 or 9, or let's say you come home at 5 and just taking a bunch of caffeine and then trying to get in rhythm maybe at like 6. I'm not telling you that you shouldn't do this, that you shouldn't try to work after on your business. It's doable, and it's definitely better than just binging a TV show and being lazy and not actually making use of your time. But to compare that performance level from a post 8 hour shift to waking up early, getting a good night's sleep, and then just going straight away into working on your business, the performance level is drastic. The fresh, rested you, not having a 8 hour shift put on him, and also you have to include the commute time, you getting ready, your energy getting expended driving, coming back on a train maybe. It doesn't hit, and you will not perform as well as you would when you were fresh. Being fresh allows you to have mental clarity, you have a lot more patience, and things just flow better. The biggest thing about actually being successful and performing the work or action that you're doing is simply getting into the flow state. Getting into the flow state requires about 25 minutes of just pure zoning in, and once you're locked in, this is when the magic happens. This is when the results actually come from you getting into whatever state of flow that you're pursuing. If you can't get into the state of flow, you're pretty much just wasting your time. Your results are borderline mediocre, and it really doesn't make too much of a result. You can work as many hours as you want, but the diminishing returns is evident. Once you come home after that 8 hour shift, you might work productively at max an hour or two. It is, unless you're just super stimulated or you are bold enough to take a cold shower, which I know majority of you guys are really not willing to do at 5 p.m. and delaying your dinner to later time. There's so much more sacrifice you have to make after that 8 hour shift. And there are going to be days that you will be successful and you are able to do it, but to tell 90% of guys that they'll be able to sustain working 2 hours productively, not just working 2 hours, 2 hours of productive work after an 8 hour shift, is kind of insane. I think that if you're really about it, you can do it if you're willing to either take a cold shower or have some sort of caffeine, and hopefully that doesn't ruin your sleep schedule now, because caffeine does stay in your system for quite some time depending on how sensitive you are to it. I know for me personally, if I took caffeine at 6 p.m., I'm not going to bed till like 3 a.m. So you have to also understand what your tolerance level is to caffeine. If you can have caffeine at that time and still sleep perfectly, then by all means take it, but most of you guys will not be able to do that. So once you have your work assorted to either 3 or 4 days, and now you have this time to actually work on your business, you want to schedule out time slots that you can be very meticulous in what you're doing. Don't just say, I'm going to have Friday off, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off to work on my business. No, I want you to have a very well-constructed, detailed plan that will allow you to know what you're doing at each hour during that work block. Let's say you're going to put in 4 hours on Saturday towards your business. You wake up at 9, you shower, you get ready, you have your breakfast. Now it's 10:30. From 10:30 to 11:30, what are you doing? You are planning out how you want to market your next campaign ad. Then an hour after that, how you plan to scale the company long term. And then maybe an hour after that, how you can find the employees that you want to fulfill your company, and how you want them to have a good mindset and treat your customers very friendly. So you see how this is a lot more organized than just saying work on my business, because work on my business literally can mean anything. And when you make it too broad, you kind of end up doing a bunch of low rewarded activity or low concentrated activity that you could have just done when you were maybe using the restroom or something. Like scrolling through emails, checking emails, like that's really not productive. You want something that requires your brain and effort to actually be in use, because other than that, you're just sitting there. You're fake working on your business, and that doesn't do you any justice. That's literally just cutting corners, and at that point, you should have just worked. You would have got the same results after working 2 hours, after working that 8-hour shift that you could have put towards right after. So make sure you're very strict on the work that you are doing, and very strict on how you're going to allocate your time. I really wouldn't recommend working more than a few hours in a time block, and that's really when you're locked in. I know there's the ideology of like a shift being 8 hours and having like the 40-hour work week, but I genuinely believe 4 hours of locked in work is way more productive and gets you way more done than 8 hours of a shift, or 8 hours of just normal work. If you're able to get more done in a day, you're not required to have to work extra hours to make up for it. You only want to work productive hours and productive shifts. That way you know when it's time to work, it's time to work. You're actually going to get something done. You're going to get something accomplished. There's no point of working hard for the first 4 hours and then just kind of sitting there and letting time pass by. Use this time to relax. Use this time to go out, experience life, go hang out with a friend. There's no point of working up unproductively just to say, hey, I put in an extra certain amount of hours. Get what you need done for the day. If you can work on something that is due later, or that will benefit you later, definitely do that. But you're going to be exhausted after 4 hours of work. And unless you want to be super stimulated off caffeine or take a cold shower, there's so much more that really goes into being productive and being able to work in such a time block. What I would recommend though is once you are done with that 4-hour shift, or that 4 hour of just pure locked in work, do not just try to stimulate your brain with like easy dopamine rushes. The best thing you probably could do is simply go and lay down in your bed. And you're like, what? Why would I want to go lie down in my bed? Why would I want to take a nap, bro? It's still daylight outside. Bro, I get it. You don't actually have to fall asleep, but you just put your body through hell. You got to really think about it. You put your body through the ringer. It is tired. It is fatigued. Your brain is shot. You just put in 4 hours of hard work. Relax. Best thing you can do to relax is simply lay down and just look up. Look up at your ceiling. Think some thoughts. Give your body some time to cool down and just recharge yourself. It's as simple as that. And if you're able to get up, let's say half an hour or 30 minutes or 45 minutes after, you now can put in another good amount of work. You see, if you can log back in, get into that state of flow, now there's a whole nother shift of hard work you can put in and actually get production out of you, actually get more work done. See, this is when you're ultimately productive, and if you're able to unlock this switch within yourself, there's nothing stopping you from success. Being able to put in 8 hours of productive work is something many of the people, even in the 1% of men, can't even do. Think about that. If you're ahead of the 1% of men, there's nothing stopping you. Your future is so bright. And honestly, I'm very proud of you, and I'm amazed to see what you can accomplish. This is the big CEO guys, the 500 million network. This is where you will land if you can put in 8 hours of productive work every single day. Notice how I said every single day. And eventually, when you're done working your job and you're able to work full time onto your business and you don't have to clock in anymore, being able to work 8 hours productively every single day may be very close to impossible, but there are some men that can do it, and if you're able to truly lock in, it will change your life. So the best things you can do is really make use of the time that you are working. Work time is work time. It's not lollygagging, not letting my mind just wander. You have to be locked in, bro. Otherwise, there's no point of you being there. If you need any help on being productive and how to really just organize your life in a way that it can lead to the most successful outcome, click the link in my description and book a call with me today. As always, guys, you know what to do. The choice is yours.